Hello and welcome to a brief introduction to Rhinoceros, a play by Eugene Ionesco. The play revolves around a fellow named Berenger, an apathetic drunkard. It begins with Berenger at a cafe in France where he is surrounded by and involved in several philosophical conversations, all interrupted by a passing rhinoceros. This odd occurrence leads to a new conversation about philosophy until, again, a rhinoceros passes by, this time trampling a cat. While the poor kitty's owner cries, the cafe-goers discuss the origin of the rhino and whether it was the same one as before. Later, Berenger goes to work. His co-workers are discussing the rhinos, his boss believing skeptically that they are simply a mass delusion. Suddenly, a co-worker attacks the building, having actually become a rhinoceros. His wife, feeling a sense of duty, joins her husband and becomes a rhino herself. Berenger then visits Jean, his best friend. Jean becomes a rhino during the visit and attacks Berenger, who narrowly escapes. Soon the entire city is transformed and Berenger is surrounded by rhinos. He joins up with Daisy, a girl he's interested in, and together they resist transforming. Eventually, though, Daisy succumbs to the savage allure of the rhino's beauty and makes the transformation. Berenger is left, the sole, lonely, and transformed human being. He begins to doubt his humanity and finds himself unable to recognize his friends in photographs. He even recognizes his own image in a photo of ugly people. Pictures made more ugly when compared to the elegant rhino heads. He envies the rhino's bodies, skin, and horns, but at the brink of desperation decides to fight the rhinos and retain his humanity. This play is interpreted and stated to be a metaphor for the resistance against conformity, specifically social and political ideologies like communism and fascism. The author, Ionesco, was an innovator in the theater of the absurd. Early in life, he began rejecting the physical world and traditional communication. This outlook on life, as well as his experiences in World War II-era France, permeated his work, especially Rhinoceros. This kind of play, popular in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, endeavored to break down the usual rules of the theater and present absurd situations, circular logic, cliched or pun-filled dialogue, and otherwise surreal situations. As a genre, it examined existentialism and identity through its ability to present strange scenarios or situations typically untouched by theater. The content of Rhinoceros is highly symbolic. Ionesco himself has stated that the play tackles human nature and its inclination towards conformity. Most agree that the rhinos symbolize fascism and communism, and the various characters and their transitions represent different kinds of people's reactions and relationships with these ideologies. It is important to note, though, that the rhinos can stand in for any movement of mass conformity. Ionesco chose the rhinoceros because of its savage and mindless nature. Berenger is, of course, the everyman, apathetic, detached, and a drunk. He represents our power to deny and resist the pressures of groupthink and the basic lust for power that every person inevitably encounters in their life. We hope you've enjoyed this brief introduction to Rhinoceros by Eugene Ionesco and enjoy the rest of your trip to the Rhinoceros Museum.